And part of all of this is zoning. They internationally at the UN write up these zoning laws. The federal governments of the world adopt them. They have these National Association of zoning and National Association of Governors and county commissioners and city planners, and the insurance companies say you'll get a discount if you adopt these zoning laws. And then it's all just a sickening mass. And so it's happening all over the world, not just here, where here in Austin they put $2,000 a day fines on old people's yards that have 3-inch grass, and then they come in 2 weeks, it's $14,000 and take it. I've seen articles in Denver where Christian groups may have 7 people over for a Bible study on Saturday night, and they come and ticket everybody's cars and ticket the house, but they can have a strip club party next door. And in one case, they were having rowdy parties next door, but that was okay with the strippers dancing on the tables. Just don't have a Bible study. They've kicked rabbis' meetings out of their own houses. They're saying rabbis can't have circumcisions at their houses or at other people's houses. They can't have Passover at their houses. They nothing. Just they're telling Muslims they can't have meetings at their houses. And they selectively persecute religious groups, especially Christians, just like CPS. We've had the lawyers on. It's been in the news. Target homeschooling families of Christians. They don't like people that aren't in the government training centers. And you remember this case a month ago in San Diego. It wasn't even a law. They were just misapplying, because I've read the code, and that's why we've got Pastor Dave Jones. Hey, that's my daddy's name. We've got Pastor Dave Jones on, and then we've got his lawyer, Dean Broyles, on the program with us, and they stood up and said no. But the issue is, you think this zoning's bad now? Wait with the Obama Green Brigades and the home inspections they're passing that the feds want passed. Austin just passed it, where these little Soviets come in your house and do these audits of your carbon footprint. The harassment has only begun, so we've got to realize this is standardized zoning is being used to tyrannize everybody, and the bedrock of the First Amendment is that you can do anything you want in your house. Even the Magna Carta, 1215, a man's home is his castle. Even the King of England, without a warrant, couldn't come in your house. But I've seen cases in Illinois where people wake up with police standing over them. They do unannounced home inspections, saying under zoning laws they don't need a warrant, and you wake up and above your bed. This was in the Chicago newspapers, and some of the surrounding suburbs do this. And then if you have more than two toothbrushes, let's say your house is zoned for 2 people to be in it, and there's more than 2 toothbrushes, not even 3 people, they then fine you in your bed. I'm not kidding. I know you can't believe it. It was in local newspapers years ago. This stuff is so insane. And now under this new bill to federalize all water, including puddles, they say no warrant, they're coming on your land. Remember the Wetlands Project? So I'm going to shut up now. Just want to give you some background to Pastor Dave Jones presides over a flock in San Diego, California. He was recently harassed for having a prayer group at his home, and his lawyer, Dean Broyles. Men, thanks for coming on, and thanks for standing up for the First Amendment.
Thanks for having us, Alex.
You
Great
bet.
to be with you, Alex. This is Dean Broyles.
Hey, Dean, and hey, Pastor Dave. Okay, you guys got the floor for the next 20 minutes. Tell us what happened, what this was like.
Well, let me do it in a brief way, I guess. First of all, on April 10th of this year, a code enforcement officer came to our house and asked us if we had a Bible study. And we said, of course, yes, we do. My wife did. And then they told us that was not permitted use according to the code, and it was a violation of a religious assembly code. And so that was 2100 to 2106. That's where you find that code section. My wife thought they were just misunderstood, that we had just simple Bible study with 15 people. And so she explained we had dinner and then a Bible study and prayer and then had dessert. And the lady asked her, well, do you say amen? Do you say praise the Lord? Do you sing? And my wife was so shocked, she's not sure how she actually answered that. It was kind of like, what does that have to do with it? And then she was very clear and adamant that we had 2 weeks to comply. If we did not, that there would be a $100 fine for the first violation, $200 for the second, $500 for the third, $1,000 for the fourth, and then that they would take us to court. This was our warning. You would not get anything else. My wife said, please send something in writing. And so we received that a week later, and the citation, of course, is posted on the Western Center for Law and Policy, and you can see that on their website. It was a ticket for citation for religious assembly, and that we would cease and stop religious assembly. And by the way, I was interesting as I listened to what you said, Alex. 7703 is another section, and that's the two sections they quoted and the paper that accompanied the citation. And I just want to read what it says to you, because it says, any deputized, anyone specific individual deputized by the director, and by the way, this is, the paperwork that accompanied the citation. It says, may arrest a person without warrant whenever the director or the authorized deputy has reasonable cause to believe that the person arrested has committed an infraction or misdemeanor in the presence of the violation of the zoning
they've
ordinance.
turned themselves into a new law enforcement agency, just stomping around, declaring themselves with imperial, godlike powers to violate free assembly. You're allowed to have 15 people over for dinner and pray, and you're allowed to beat on drums if you want and howl at the moon. I mean, this is America.
Right. Well, so that's what they sent. That's the accompanying pages of this citation. It was never over a parking. They never said this is a parking problem.
Basically, we're God. We're going to arrest you if you don't stop doing this.
Well, they definitely said they were going to fine us. They didn't verbalize that, but they sent it in writing that they could.
Unbelievable. Now, your lawyer, and I've read the sections myself, this is clearly misapplied, and they don't have this authority, correct?
Oh, absolutely. We sent them a detailed demand letter. It was about 11, 12 pages long, and we made three arguments. The first was a common sense argument. The second, third, and fourth were legal arguments, but our first statement was the clear understanding of both what the ordinance said and what a common sense view of church is. We told them this is clearly not a religious assembly as defined by the county ordinances. And so therefore the requirement of a major use permit, which costs tens of thousands of dollars, is not applicable. And pursuant to their own definitions, they defined religious assemblies as bigger gatherings like churches and synagogues, etc. So they were clearly interpreting their own laws and ordinances in a very sweeping and overbroad manner, and applying it to the pastor's small home group Bible study in a completely inappropriate way. Secondly, we pointed out that their interpretation was violating our clients' rights to freely exercise their religion. Thirdly, we brought up peaceable assembly, and there's other elements of the First Amendment which we could have argued also. And then fourthly, we said that the Joneses were protected by the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000, which is a law that Congress passed several years ago that protects religious individuals in regard to land use. So they were clearly out of line, and as soon as they got their letter, the next morning they begged to have a meeting with us, and we met with them the next day, and within the next week the matter was resolved. They apologized. They promised to train their people better and have better use of the people, better review of the people who are going out writing and applying these kind of tickets and citations. So it looks like at this point that the county is in full retreat and is apologizing and is going to correct their ordinances and make it right. And we're going to stay on top of them to make sure that that actually occurs.
Sure, but the moral of the story is, and I'm sure, Mr. Broyles, because you're a lawyer that fights this stuff, you know this is going on all over the country, that it's important for people to stand up and say no, because a lot of people are laying down to this, and then this abuse of power, this color of law fraud by these little commissars is expanding as they flaunt this illegitimate authority everywhere.
That's absolutely right, and that's one issue we faced over the last several years is often it's hard to even talk the potential clients into facing down the government, and if we don't do that, we're going to end up being in a situation that they're facing in Iran right now, where the government is just running roughshod over the rights of the people. And so it's very important that individuals are willing to take a stand and say, no, these are my God-given rights, these are my constitutional rights, and I'm willing to stand on them to protect others.
Well, exactly. Look at how they put us in free speech zones, and then now are even trying to phase those out. This is how liberty dies in little steps. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Alex, I wanted to say something that has been something we've battled since this came, since it went on the news. And what it is they claimed it was a parking complaint. And there was a complaint, but they never addressed that issue. And since I've talked to a police officer who can kind of congratulate us on our victory and our stand.
Stay there. Let me hear the story when we get back. Pastor Dave Jones and his lawyer, Dean Broyles, will give you those websites when we get back.